Okay, good morning. Thanks for joining us bright and early on Sunday. My name's Elise and I'm welcoming you here today both in person and of course our live stream audience logging in at home. Before we begin, I've just got some important housekeeping points to cover. So if you're here with us, just make sure you've scanned in using our lovely QR code there on the screen, or else there's a few around in the foyer. Could you please ensure that all mobile phones are of course switched off or in silent at this point. Smoking is not permitted here in or around the building. Nearest restrooms on each level are one at either end, except for here on the ground floor. Just by the cafe you'll find the bathrooms. There is no access beyond the third floor of the building today, unless you're participating in one of the guided tours of the dental hospital. You can sign up for one of those at the information booth. You'll also have an opportunity to ask some questions in a little while to our student and staff panel. So keep them in your back of your mind, and then when we open up for questions, you're more than welcome to volunteer one at a time. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please do not use the lifts. If we are required to evacuate, the evacuation point is out by the Samry building, which looks like a giant cheese grater or durian fruit, depending on which angle. The session is being streamed and recorded on YouTube, so it will be available to view later on as well. And those joining us online today, if you're logged in to YouTube, you'll be able to ask questions via the live chat then, and we'll bring them up later on. We will be monitoring them online at the time and also after the event to get through as many of them as possible. I'd now like to take a moment to acknowledge the Kaurna people, the original custodians of the Adelaide Plains and the land on which the University of Adelaide's campuses at North Terrace, Waite and Roseworthy are built. So to get started, let's take a look at the Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences in a more detailed look, including some of the facilities you'll be studying in, and learn where our degree offerings are positioned globally. So now that we've looked at some of the spaces that you'll be learning and studying in, some of them are here in the building today, so make sure you make your way to them, and some of them are down at our North Terrace campus down the road. So now let's look a bit more in depth at the Health and Medical Sciences programs that we offer. So it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Corinna van den Heuvel, Interim Head of School, and Assistant Professor Kathy Gatford, Senior Lecturer, who both coordinate the Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences and Health and Medical Sciences Advanced Programs.
Thank you, Ellie. Can everyone hear me okay? Is that coming through? I just want to say on behalf of Kathy and I, it's actually really fantastic to be up here and see people
in person
in the audience, because last year we had to do this all virtually and it is just not the same. So welcome to the AHMS building, and it's just great. Nothing beats actually talking to an audience. I'm Corinna, so I am the program coordinator for the Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences program, as well as being the interim head of the Adelaide Medical School. And my colleague.
She's also a big fan of neuroscience, teaches into neuroscience. My name's
Hi,
Kathy. I'm Program Coordinator for Health and Medical Science Advanced, and I also teach into the Reproductive and Childhood Health major.
Okay, so we're here to talk about two programs that are incredibly dear to our hearts, the Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences program and the Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences Advanced program. And we find that a lot of students, and it's probably, I might put it out there and just ask you, so the potential prospective students in the audience, do you know exactly what you want to do with your career? If you do, raise your hand. If you don't, raise your hand. Excellent. So this is one of the reasons we find this program so perfect, because we know that some students will love biology or are really interested in the human body and how it works and what can go wrong with it and the difference between cells and tissues and disease and treatments. And that's why these programs are perfect for you, because it gives you an opportunity to learn about the human body, learn how it ticks, learn what can go wrong with it and how we can treat it, and give you a bit of time and opportunity to work out exactly what area you are really interested in. So in this program, you will seek solutions to global health issues. You'll collaborate really early on with health professionals and industry partners. It's all about career readiness. We want you, when you finish this program, to be able to go out there and be job ready. And from day one in our core courses in our programs, you learn those employability and career readiness skills. And also, when travel restrictions lift, you also have the ability to be able to do some of your study overseas, which is super exciting. You are taught by award-winning teachers and academics and researchers who use the most up-to-date, innovative online contents.
I'm just going to add into that because we're having so much fun this year. So at the moment we are online for our lecture kind of theory content, but we are absolutely delighted. We are back face-to-face, so the tutorials, the pracs, the workshops, it's face-to-face teaching and you get to interact with people. And it's so much fun as a teacher. But I know all of our students who, we've seen a real shift in attitude from, oh, I have to go to uni, to I get to go to uni. So it's been fabulous. So when we say engaging online content, having that and having that well developed and having that support you understanding is really important, but then you also get to work face to face.
It's a good blended way to learn.
Yeah.
A lot of our courses are patient-based case or scenario-based cases and small group discovery, because we realise that all of the core courses within our programs have small group discovery, and what that really means is that you get to work in groups to solve problems, to solve health-related problems. And we realise that there aren't many jobs out there where you work completely and utterly on your own. Most careers you will be working collaboratively and with a team of people. So we want you to start learning those techniques really early, and particularly from first year, and extending them right through up to third year. And again, international experiences, study abroad, study tours, and possibility of exchange programs will be available, hopefully sooner rather than later.
If you're not really sure what you want to do, but you know you want to do something within the health stream, that this is a really good degree, because there are so many options that you can explore to find where your interests lie. Each year you have open or closed electives, and there is such a broad range of topics that you can choose from. In our third year, we pick a major and there is a research placement. Some of the majors include clinical trials, neuroscience, public health, and reproductive and childhood health. There's multiple different things across the health streams.
One of my favourite things about studying this degree is definitely the practical sessions in the Raylas laboratory, because it's just a fantastic experience to be able to go down there and look at these specimens and consolidate all of the information that we learn in those lectures and tutorials.
The virtual reality part of the course allows you to be hands-on, manipulate and look at how organs work in a 3D experience, which just helps to reinforce those ideas of anatomy.
Recently, the Adelaide Health and Medical Sciences Association organised an event where alumni came back and talked about the kinds of jobs and the kinds of career pathways that this degree could lead to. It was really eye-opening to see the kinds of jobs that are out there for people who've studied this degree.
So let's go into a little bit of detail, greater detail about the program. So we've touched on that in that video, that through the program you start off very broad. You can choose so many electives from within the faculty and outside of the faculty. And as you go through into second year, you start working out what subjects you kind of really enjoy and what perhaps you don't love so much. And then by third year, you'll be on a mission to reach that major or that area of specialisation. In the program, we have 6 majors available, broadly classified into 2 streams, medical health majors or lifespan health majors. And in the medical health majors, we have majors in clinical trials. So this is where you develop skills to design, develop and conduct trials within hospitals, research organisations, pharmaceutical companies or institutes. Medical sciences is probably our most popular major because medical sciences encompasses the disciplines of pathology, anatomy, pharmacology and physiology. So it's really quite broad. So students, probably about 40 to 50% of our students take that major. And this is where you really work out how the human body functions in health and disease and how treatments for disease are developed. And then neurosciences, which is my personal favourite and what I did my honours and my PhD in, is where you really develop a greater understanding of how the nervous system regulates the body and behaviour, as well as a way to finding ways to prevent or cure many neurological diseases.
Okay. So within the lifespan majors, again we have 3. So nutritional health is exactly what it sounds like, but it's thinking about that from the perspective of human health. What sort of nutrition should we be having? But then how do we use that? How do we use those nutrients? How do those nutrient signal satiety? How do nutrient requirements change across the lifespan? We have public health major, and pretty much all of our students will also get some exposure to public health in first year. So you're starting from that fundamental, thinking about human health right from the molecular level right through to the whole population level. So public health is thinking about how do we improve the health of whole populations rather than just individuals. And reproductive and childhood health, which is what I teach into, is exactly what it sounds like again. So thinking about issues around fertility, pregnancy, well-being of parents, and also health and development and well-being of children, but blending some of those aspects of the biological and the public health aspects as well. One of the things we are most excited about is that all of our students in third year will do a whole year research placement. So 2 consecutive semesters where you get the chance to get those hands-on skills related not just to research, but also those career relevant skills. So you're working in an environment with other members of a research group or a lab or an organisation, interacting with other people. You've got that potential to have some great referees when you come out the other end if you did a good job. And they are not just based within the university. So we both host students in our research groups who I think have a good time and learn a lot of things. But then there are students also placed in places like SAMRI, CSIRO, SA Health. So very, very broad in terms of where you might do your research placement. That research placement is broadly aligned with your major. So if you were doing a neuroscience major, you will have a choice of project options that are aligned with neurosciences.
Perfect. Thanks, Kathy. So we'll just break up into both of the different programs. So I'll talk briefly about Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences. Again, you will explore human biology and public health in depth. And what's really interesting is one thing that the COVID pandemic has actually taught us a lot is students have just awoken to what the world of public health actually is. And what does the word epidemiologist mean? And I think so many of our students at first year want to be contact tracers, and no one would have even known what a contact tracer was prior to the pandemic. So we've certainly seen so much more interest in these courses because of it. Again, the hands-on research experience is the capstone, finishing, icing on the cake at the end of your program, aligned to your major. You work in small groups. And again, study opportunities taught by internationally renowned academics and researchers. What does the course look like over the 3 years? There are core courses in first and second year. First year, there's a course called Create, Communicate and Connect, or CCC, because it's much easier to say that. This is really about a transition to university course. It's a really different course. There's no other course at the university quite like it. And it bridges the gap between finishing school and starting at uni, and kind of gets you interacting with peers, teaching you how to write appropriately, getting you to start thinking about creating a CV or a LinkedIn profile, talking about potential careers and pathways. So it's actually it's a course that we are super proud of, and students really, really love it. And in conjunction with that, you can choose still 7 electives. And as long as half of them come from within the Faculty of Health and Med Sci, the other half can come from outside of the faculty. So if you love languages, for example, you can continue languages. If you love maths or philosophy or physics, which makes me shiver, you can do those courses in addition to the ones we offer. Second year, there's another course called Reflect, Research, Resolve Questions in Health, working in groups to solve health-related issues. And this is an opportunity for students to choose those health-related issues in an area that they have interest in. So if you're really interested in neuroscience, there may be a health-related issue on Alzheimer's disease, and you get to choose to do that. So it's all about collaboration, problem-solving, teamwork. You also then still have options to choose electives, and by third year, you're kind of well on your track to knowing what major you are interested in, and you choose the majority of your third year courses with courses in that major, in alignment with your research placement, and you can still have 2 options of choosing other electives too. So it gives still that flexibility at third year, even though you've chosen your major. We've probably gone way over time, haven't we?
We always
like...
go over time. This is normal. All right. So within the advanced program, essentially you've got all of the same choices in terms of majors and electives as within the Health and Medical Sciences program. Basically, most of those things are the same. The key differences are really around our core courses within the advanced program. So in first year, you get the opportunity to get those hands-on skills in the clinical skills and simulation course, and gain an awareness of the broader health system and how it works, as well as some of those career readiness things. So if you haven't booked in already, or have a look at the tour, go and have a look at the Sim Suite up on level 1 and 2. It's absolutely fabulous. Our second year course is called Hacking Health. We didn't name it, but it does capture that whole idea of working in groups, trying to tackle those really big problems, but then looking at, what's been done, why didn't it work, how might we evaluate what we're doing as well. The third year course, which is taught, it's actually a cross-faculty course, which is fairly unusual in the university, which is taught, has 2 course coordinators, so health sciences, at the moment it's me, and from the ECIC, the Entrepreneurship Development Centre at the university, really looks at the issue of how do we get an idea. So if we've got a potential solution, how do we actually get that into practice and get it out there? And I'm going to skip most of that because I think we've covered it already. So very similar in terms of the degree structure, and there is also the opportunity to interlink between the programs depending on your grade achievements.
One thing before Kathy goes into the careers is that we are always asked, and our program advisors are always asked, where does this degree take me? What can I do at the end of it? And my answer to that is I would seriously need a week to be able to list all of the different career options and careers that our students and our alumni are in, and what part of the world or the state, which state they are in. So it is so incredibly, incredibly broad. Do you want to go?
Yeah, really briefly, yeah, as Corinna said, it's not you do this degree, you will be a X, Y, Z. It's very broad. Roughly a third of our students will take this program, or one of these programs, directly into the workplace, and that is usually within the area of health, but it can also be really broad graduate entry programs. Roughly a third of our students will do an honours year, so that's a separate standalone degree, 1 year intensive research basis, and then the other third of our students are usually using this as a pathway degree into postgraduate study of some sort.
Yep,
okay,
spot on.
That covers most of that, I think.
We probably talked, but happy to answer questions whenever
we're allowed.
Okay, we'll stop now.
Go have some water. Wonderful. Well, thanks, ladies. As you can see, they're both very passionate about the area of health and medical sciences, and we're very lucky to have them on board with us here. So as far as applications go, admissions to both degrees is based solely on minimum ATAR or equivalent. There are no prerequisites for either program, which is really good, meaning they're very accessible to people from all walks of life. As you can see, the minimum ATAR for the advanced program in comparison to the standard program is very different, but keeping in mind on SATAC you can have up to 6 preferences, so there's certainly plenty of space to keep your options open. So, what's it like to actually be a student and study in the Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences?
We're very blessed in Adelaide to have a strong learning environment and culture. Both staff and students are very supportive of everyone reaching a certain standard, and the exciting thing about working in health is that you're always a part of a team.
Now that I'm in second year, I've signed up to become a peer mentor, which means I can interact with first year students to help them feel more comfortable as they transition into uni life.
There's a buddy mentorship program that I've met people through, and when I was in younger years they'd help support me and inspire me, and they've honestly almost become like my family in a way.
When I was looking for guidance on my subjects in about year 2, I spoke to the support staff in the Helen Mayo building, and they really helped me figure out what was best for me academically but also for my future careers. It was really good knowing that I'm not alone and I have got support from the actual faculty.
The cohort I went through with are really great. We're a supportive group, we have a Facebook chat, we organise catch-ups, coffee days, and we study together, which I think is really important. Especially coming up to exams, it's great to have that support network and that study framework too.
What I've found from the first day up until this last year is that the lecturers are actually there for us, and they actually really love to help us, and they're always there for any questions.
I was quite nervous moving interstate to study this degree, but I was rest assured within the first week that I was well supported by lots of colleagues and like-minded people, and there was lots of events as well that helped me build some lifelong friendships.
So our aim is that your transition to future study is to make it as smooth as it can be for you. Our dedicated Ask Health team are here to support you through your studies, and that includes everything from enrolment, helping choice with your majors or maybe which subjects can lead to which majors, as well as orientation and right the way through to graduation. We have dedicated support services available for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students to assist through the application process and of course time studying with us. The scholarships team at the University of Adelaide lists available scholarships for all prospective and currently enrolled students on the website. We absolutely encourage each and every student to have a look on the website, take some time to scroll through and apply for any scholarships that they think that they may be eligible for. We also want your time with us obviously to be educational, but we want it to be rewarding and life-changing. Getting involved with student clubs and societies will give you an opportunity to not only challenge yourself and expand your social connections. With over 100 clubs to choose from across the university, there's certainly a crowd for everyone. So we now have the opportunity to meet some current students of the programs we've just talked about. They're going to share their experiences and answer some questions about what it's like to study health and medical sciences. We'd like to keep these questions really broad. So if you do have any really specific, maybe major or admissions questions, you can definitely come out and see us at the booth after the presentation for more of a one-on-one conversation. For those of you in person, just raise your hands if you have a question, and for those online, of course, type your answer into the chat section. So can I welcome our panel up? Ladies, you can take a seat as well if you'd like. We have Max with us, Michaela, so they're both current students, and then of course Corinna and Kathy. So I might pass the microphone down to the students to just give us a brief introduction.
Sure. So my name's Max. So I'm originally from Alice Springs, and I moved here in 2016. Don't worry, I haven't been in the degree that entire time, but I have been around Adelaide for a little while, and it has taken me a while to graduate university, but I'm in my last semester of my degree, which is great. For those of you who are concerned about getting into the advanced program, don't worry, I graduated with an ATAR of 63, and I got into the advanced program through a bit more effort at university, but it's definitely possible as well. So don't be too worried about that. But anyway, great to see you all, and keen for some questions.
Hello everyone, my name is Michaela. I've actually just recently graduated from the Bachelor of Health and Medical Sciences Advanced. I majored in medical science and I'm still here at the moment, so I'm doing my honours this year within the faculty in orthopaedics and trauma research. Yeah, it's great to see you all and can't wait for the questions.
Wonderful, all right. So let's open up to the floor. Does anyone have any burning questions? Or do we have one online maybe? How about for the students, majors? Did you pick a major? What did you pick? Why? Was it a good choice?
Of course it's a good choice.
No, I didn't ask you, Corinna, I asked the students.
Yeah, so I chose the medical sciences major. I think coming into it in first year, I kind of thought I needed to pick the major straight away, and I was a bit stressed out because there's so many options, which is great. And I think my best advice when you're picking a major is don't get overwhelmed at the start. You don't have to pick it in your first week. You can leave it pretty much all the way up until end of your second year or even into your third year, as long as you keep your options open. And yeah, I basically picked it because it encompassed, like Corinna mentioned, anatomy, physiology, pathology, which all sort of really interested me from the start. And yeah, that's really just why I picked it.
So my major is clinical trials. I think it's maybe one of the smallest majors out of all of the majors. The reason why I chose it is because if I were to go with medical sciences, I would have had to do one more subject next semester, and it would have been a bit difficult. So I did decide to go with clinical trials. However, that's not to talk down on clinical trials at all. It is quite an interesting major. You do a lot of pharmacology in that as well as the clinical trials design. And you do a lot of stats too, and believe it or not, no matter what degree you go into, apart from perhaps Bachelor of Arts, you will be dealing with stats. So it's definitely a really good degree. There's a lot of, a really good major. There's a lot of, those stats classes, and which will really prepare you for the future. Interpreting p-values, confidence intervals, all of these things are probably quite alien to you. They will make sense one day, but being able to interpret that is so incredible for anything that you end up doing. And even just for listening to the news, you just sort of, you pick at things and you go, oh, well, you know what, that trial didn't actually sound like it was designed very well, so perhaps they shouldn't be reporting this that way. But anyway, so yeah.
Wonderful. We've got, I guess, in the room probably not all necessarily Year 12 students. At these events we often get a lot of 10s and 11s. Maybe Corinna or Kathy, what subjects would you suggest any potential students heading into health and medical sciences do you suggest would be useful? Or obviously there's no prerequisite subjects, which is great, but is there anything in particular that you think the students would find useful?
One of the great things about these programs is there aren't any prerequisites. However, we do know that if you come in with biology, you tend to hit the ground running much more smoothly than students who haven't. That doesn't mean that you all have to do biology, because our human anatomy and physiology course, which is introductory human biology in first year, really presumes no prior knowledge. But certainly if you have that, it's really helpful. And I think that's maybe for the advanced chemistry is helpful too.
Chemistry, if you want to there's a couple of courses in first year which are electives that are offered through Faculty of Sciences. So there's a molecules, genes and cells course, which kind of, is the pathway into the molecular biology kind of focus sciences and genetics and things like that. If you want to go in that kind of direction and pick up some courses in that direction, then having chemistry is necessary to do first year chemistry at university. But even so, there are chemistry electives that are available to our students and everyone across the university which don't require Year 12 chemistry. So there are always options, but there are some specific courses for which you might need chemistry.
Cool. I don't think there are any others.
No? I heard stats, so I didn't know if maths would be...
stats. We also have the maths centres to
Yes,
help with
yeah,
stats
definitely.
and-
So we do have the Maths Learning Centre and the Writing Centre, which are available to any student of any program at the university. They can help you if you have a particular assignment that you need to do a really maths intensive part that you just don't understand. You can, it's a free service. You can go in there and have a chat with some advisors, and they can help you work through and nut out exactly what it is to do, because I would say maths was not my strong point, so it's definitely useful to have.
Keep going.
Oh, okay. And the Writing Centre, again, obviously we're really lucky to have the CCC course for our first year students, but for those who are coming in, obviously university writing can be very different to writing for high school assignments, so the Writing Centre is there for that as well. So you can draft up an assignment and get someone to have a look over it and just make sure that you've ticked all the boxes. Might be help with referencing. There's loads of online content to kind of self-serve, but you can also sit down with someone one-on-one and just get them to double check that you've done it right, because there's very different expectations certainly heading into university. And again, this is across any of our courses, not just health and med.
So can I just jump in? Max raised a really important point when we were talking about the difference between the Bachelor of Health and Med Sci and the advanced program. Even though from an ATAR perspective, the advanced entry score is 95, whereas it's 65 for the Bachelor. If you miss out on, if you really want to do the Bachelor of Health and Med Science Advanced and you get an ATAR of 80, do the Bachelor of Health and Med Sci, keep your GPA above 5.5 and you can transfer to the advanced program. So we do have movement between the programs once you're in, either from the advanced back into the Bachelor of Health and Med Sci or both ways. So don't worry too much, and that's how Max, transferred to the advanced once he started.
I was just going to add a comment on that. One of the things that these programs offer you is there's a lot of flexibility, but one of the things that we've allowed to create even more flexibility is that at second year level, so level 2 subjects, you actually have the option to count a couple of level 1 subjects. So quite often we find for those students who don't get in initially, we're desperate to do the advanced program and get that clinical experience in the first year core course, you have the option of picking that up. You do your first year health and medical sciences. If you then get a transfer across to the advanced, you still have the option of picking up that clinical skills and simulation course. As it's a first year course, but you can pick it up and count it towards your second year completion.
And another thing too is just, and going back to what Michaela said, is you've got time. So the beauty about these programs is it gives you time to work out really what it is that you're passionate about. So you don't need to come in knowing you want to be a neuroscientist in the first week, because you absolutely don't. You've got until the end of second year to lock that in. And even if you get to second year and you go, neuroscience is totally not for me. I thought it was going to be and it wasn't. I want to do reproductive and childhood health. That's where our fabulous program advisors down in the student support services will be able to go, let's have a look at your study plan. All right, these are the courses you've done. Okay, we're going to have to change your second semester preference now to do this, and we'll get you back on that pathway to that major. So it's incredibly pliable. So you've got that really 2 years, I suppose, to really work it out.
All right. How about we talk about placement? So we've got a research placement in the third year. Max and Michaela, what did you do yours in and where was it?
So I did my third year research placement at Samri within the stem cell lab. Obviously, with COVID last year, the first semester was a bit disrupted. We didn't get a whole lot of time in the lab, but in saying that, our supervisors were really great in accommodating for that, and I think we still got out of the research placement what it's meant for, and then in the second semester we did actually get into the lab and get some hands-on experience, which was great. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and of course if a wet lab sort of research isn't for you, there are options as well to go into things like SA Health and look at more the public health side of it as well. So there's plenty of options, and yeah, great range, so it was good.
Sorry. So I was at the Women's and Children's with Professor Helen Marshall, and you wouldn't know who that is, but she runs a program called the Be Part of It program, which you might have seen at your schools, which is all about vaccinating people for meningococcal disease, particularly the serogroup B. And so we were looking at the presenting characteristics of people who come into hospital with meningitis caused by meningococcal. So there was a lot of really interesting content there, a lot of stats. It was really great that I did this placement because I was really going down the epidemiology sort of route, and I decided that perhaps looking at data sets all day isn't actually really for me. So that's great. And so I did a summer research scholarship. I was in a wet lab, and a summer research scholarship is when you get paid a little bit of money to do a 6-week sort of placement in a lab, and you potentially might get a paper out of it, which would be really helpful for when you graduate. And so I did that at a wet lab, and I've decided that wet lab definitely for me. So I'll be looking down that path. So there's a lot of different experiences. Sorry, I've gone probably a bit beyond the scope of the question, but there's a lot of different experiences at university, which one, obviously the placement is a part of your course, and then the summer research is not a part of your course, it's optional, that help you sort of figure out what direction you want to go. And so I would put up what direction I'm going in now definitely is due to those two things.
Yeah, I definitely find doing something and finding out it's not what you want to do is almost sometimes as helpful as doing something and liking it and thinking, okay, that's what I want to do. Great, no, thank you, absolutely. And obviously the university, we're talking about the programs and the academic side, but certainly those extra add-ons are really important. I know Michaela was heavily involved in the peer mentoring program, which we have within the faculty. So Michaela, do you want to just quickly cover that? And then...
Yeah, so the peer mentoring program is a program that's offered as soon as you head into your first year, so you can be a mentee. So basically you'll get assigned a student of second year or higher, I believe, and basically it's normally in a group setting, but it can be one-on-one. You meet up with them, they check up on you just to see how you're going. It's not so much an academic thing, it's more so making sure your transition into uni is smooth, you've got those support networks as well, and also get advice off, I guess, someone who's been in your shoes before. So I wasn't a mentee when I first started, but I wish I was. I think that's why I decided to join the program as a mentor once I was eligible, once I was in my second year, to really sort of, I guess, give advice and things that I wish I knew when I first started.
Can I?
Not related to the peer mentor program, but it is getting involved in university. So I'm the president of the Health and Medical Sciences Association, which is a really great association if you do go into the degree. So please do join up. But you did see that video about the different clubs at university. A lot of students have no idea where they belong at university apart from in their degree. So if you go into a club, say you're interested in, I think there was a Simpsons club at one stage, and obviously you did see there was the Quidditch club. The Quidditch club unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. But there are so many other clubs. There's language clubs. There's I'm suicidal, so I decided to be the president of the ski club as well at the same time. So there's the ski club. We go to Mount Hotham every year. Plenty of other sporting clubs too. There's too many to list off my head. But if you are struggling to find your place at university, join a club, because during a time when even more content is online, which is good because it's a good way to deliver to a lot more people. But it is quite difficult to find where you belong at uni. So please do join up with clubs, make some friends, go outside the scope of your degree, because your university experience will just be so much better if you do.
Can I just jump in on there following what Max said? So we have this fabulous student association which really creates this sense of unity and belonging for our students. Because the programs are so broad and so flexible, our students are not in every single class and prac together. So this association really unites them. Yes, they do fun things like quizzes and balls and other things, but they also have alumni industry nights where they invite previous graduates to come and talk to our students. We love the association for many reasons, but also because we chair the programs board, which is a big very much looks at the day-to-day running of the academic programs, but also the strategic direction of the programs. And the student voice and the student input into that board is crucial, because we can sit here and make decisions and have ideas and implement changes to a program based on what we think, but that is pointless unless we hear what the students want. So having this intermediary of the student body and us as academics is absolutely crucial. And the university at the moment is part of this big Student Voice Australia project, which is just fantastic, and it's all about co-creation, because ultimately, you know, students are our key stakeholders, and we need to hear from them. So that's more than just having fun in the associations and the Quidditch clubs and all of that. It's great for us as academics to hear from the students.
And definitely the more you get involved in things in the wider university, the more facilities you see, the more buildings you see. Our campus is beautiful. There's some great cafes, there's some not so great cafes. So getting involved in peer mentoring is really useful for that stuff, because they'll usually tell you, like, Unibar has a pizza day on a Wednesday that's run by Pizza Teca. There's nowhere else you can get a $10 Pizza Teca pizza. So you'd have to go to peer mentoring to know that. So, you know, they're the kind of things that those clubs, associations, you know, meeting up with students that have been here longer, they're the insider tips that are useful on top of the academic support that we provide. So with that, that concludes the session today. So thank you to our presenters and audience members, of course, online and in person. I'm sure we'll be out in the booth just outside with Health and Medical Sciences on the top if you do have any other questions for the students or, of course, our academics. So obviously spend some time exploring the building. We obviously have some talks going on in here afterwards and in our other lecture theatre, depending on what your level of interest is. And for more information about this degree and the advanced program, as well as, of course, any other health degrees, definitely visit our website online, which is health.adelaide.edu.au, or, of course, Degree Finder. Oh, yes, of course.